The wolf clan was in decline. Zane, the wolf prince, had lived for 1,000 years. Though feared throughout the beast realm, he remained aloof and disinterested in romance. The wolf queen was beside herself with worry. Beautiful maidens from various clans lined up outside the wolf king's cave. I'm Lily, a human who accidentally fell into the beast world. In my original life, I was just a poor girl from a modern city. After crossing over, I somehow stumbled into the wolf king's bedroom by mistake. On the day of his engagement to the tiger princess, I ran away carrying a belly full of wolf cubs. Years later, as I was busy feeding meat to 8 little wolf pups, he pushed open my courtyard gate, looking as pitiful as a droopy-eared puppy. Lily, have you really given up on me? The Great Beast War shattered the barrier between the human and beast worlds. I accidentally fell into this strange realm. I had only intended to help my grandmother pick wild ginseng in the mountains back home. Who knew I'd slip and fall, waking up to find myself in a world of beasts? This place was full of half-human, half-beast creatures. Before I could come to my senses, a pack of wolf patrol guards surrounded me. They were about to dispose of me when Grandma Leopard stepped in and brought me into wolf territory. I had grown up in the mountains with my grandmother, relying on each other. Apart from her and the villagers, I had hardly met anyone else, so I knew almost nothing about the outside world. At first, I thought I could treat these beast people like the small animals in the mountains. Just as I was about to pat their heads and ears, their fierce expressions scared me back. They were even more intimidating than the Tibetan mastiffs kept by old Mrs. Wang at the village entrance, but Grandma Leopard was kind to me, just like my real grandmother in the human world. She initially wanted me to help with cleaning and odd jobs, but unfortunately, I was clueless about this beast world. Not only was I unhelpful, but I also caused quite a bit of trouble. I tore up beast skin scrolls while organizing bookshelves and nearly burned a hole through half the floor when I knocked over some potions. Grandma Leopard was exasperated by my antics. In the end, she brought me before the wolf queen. The wolf queen, seeing my curvy figure and good looks, was very pleased. She kept whispering to her maid beside her, "This little human would make a good breeding vessel. She looks a bit simple-minded and naive though. That's fine. She's just for trying as a surrogate. It'll be easy to deal with her once we have a new princess." Words like breeding and new princess were all foreign to me, so I paid no attention. I only cared about what Grandma Leopard said, that if I slept in the wolf king's bed for one night, I'd be allowed to live here. And so, I was happily led to Prince Zane's courtyard. As soon as we arrived at the entrance, I saw a group of wolf beauties gathered there. They were clearly unhappy about my arrival. A silver wolf beauty even deliberately threw my luggage into the most remote corner of the courtyard. It wasn't until evening that I first met the wolf prince. He had a pair of fluffy wolf ears on his head, but his face was so handsome it was hard to look away. You're so handsome," I blurted out. Zane was taken aback, seeming to develop some interest in this human girl. He leaned in to sniff me, then looked me up and down thoughtfully. This scene infuriated the other wolf beauties in the courtyard. From then on, they bullied me even more viciously. If they weren't threatening to tear my throat out with their sharp fangs and claws, they were putting all sorts of bugs in my food, leaving me unable to eat a proper meal for days. The wolves mostly ate raw meat, which I really couldn't stomach as a human. When I was so hungry I couldn't stand it anymore, I remembered what Grandma Leopard had said. If I just slept in the wolf king's bed for one night, I could live on and have good food to eat. So, I snuck into the prince's chambers late at night when all was quiet. The room was empty, so I climbed straight into bed and under the covers. Before long, Zane pushed open the door. He walked in while undressing, heading straight for the bath. Through the misty steam, I could only make out his muscular waist and the smooth lines of his muscles. This was the first time in my life I'd seen a naked man. I watched with a red face and pounding heart. Suddenly, he turned around. I quickly ducked under the covers. I don't know how much time passed. He stood by the bed, looking down at the small hill formed by the blanket. "Come out." The voice from outside the covers was extremely intimidating. I timidly poked my head out and patted the pillow beside me. "Prince, shall we sleep together?" Zane raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement flashing in his eyes. "What's your name?" "Lily," I answered honestly. As he spoke, he seemed to be staring only at my mouth, his breathing gradually becoming heavier. Then he turned and walked back to the bath, emerging again moments later. His eyes were even redder than before, his breath ragged as if he was struggling to suppress something. I've been injured recently. There's an evil energy in my body that's hard to control. Lily, I want you now. Is that okay? Want me? What did he mean? I was a bit dazed by his burning gaze. If I say yes, will you give me food? Will I be able to live? He chuckled softly and nodded. Hearing there would be food, I immediately perked up. Then hurry up. I want to eat after you're done. The next second, I was pinned to the bed. His kisses came like a storm, leaving me dizzy and feeling like I was melting into a puddle. In my hazy state, he tore off all my clothes. Suddenly, intense pain jolted me back to reality. I pushed against him hard. "It hurts. I don't want to anymore. I don't need food." He gently kissed away my tears, whispering comforting words. But his movements only grew more fierce. My words and struggles seemed to become his outlet for release. "Be good. Just bear with it a little. Relax and it'll feel better." I sobbed in pain, but he seemed to have developed a taste for it, pressing down on me and going at it for a long time before finally stopping. Afterwards, I clung tightly to his arm. "You promised." "I want food." Zane stroked my head indulgently, looking thoroughly satisfied. He immediately called for a table full of delicious food to be brought in. And just like that, I, a human who had only arrived a few days ago, inexplicably became the first person to sleep with the wolf prince. When I woke up the next morning, my entire body was covered in Zane's scent. What this meant in the beast world, I still had no idea. The group of wolf beauties in the courtyard huddled together, their eyes practically shooting flames at me. In just one night, I seemed to have become the target of everyone's resentment. I was assigned to a special room. It was said to be designed specifically for humans, with strange charms hanging on the walls. This place was very close to Zane's chambers, but guards were posted everywhere. But Grandma Leopard was right after all. After sleeping with the wolf prince, I no longer had to go hungry, and no wolf dared to threaten to tear me apart. Zane was very good to me, sending me all kinds of cooked food and desserts every day. Although some things were indeed strange and exotic, it was better than having nothing to eat. People outside all said Zane was aloof and disliked women, but I now had first-hand experience. Those words were utter nonsense. Since that night, he seemed to be addicted, grabbing me as soon as he returned to his chambers. From the bed to the bath to the desk, nowhere was spared. Every time I came came to my senses, it was already dawn outside. Even when he was handling official business, he often held me on his lap, kissing and nibbling. I was sore all over from his treatment, but didn't dare to speak up. In the end, I could only secretly go to the kind Grandma Leopard to complain. After hearing my description, a knowing smile immediately appeared on Grandma Leopard's face. She patted my hand and said earnestly, "Silly girl, the prince is marking you. In our beast clan, this is a huge blessing. When you become pregnant with wolf cubs, you'll have a bright future ahead. By then, you'll be a great contributor to the wolf clan, and never have to worry about food or drink for the rest of your life." I listened in a daze, suddenly thinking of a serious question. What if I give birth to a human baby? This time it was Grandma Leopard's turn to be troubled. She frowned in deep thought. That night, curled up in Zane's arms, I mustered up the courage to ask him, "Prince, if we have a baby, will it be a little wolf cub or a little human?" Zane's hand paused in my hair, then he casually said, "You're still young. Don't think about children yet." But from the next day on, after every time we were intimate, he would feed me a strange fruit. He said it was good for my body, so I didn't think much of it and just swallowed it. It wasn't until much later that I understood it was a contraceptive fruit used by the beast clan. Clearly, Zane had never intended for me to bear his heir. On normal days, as long as Zane was in the territory, he liked to keep me by his side. In his leisure time, he would teach me the beast language and beast writing. I have to say, the beast clan's writing was even harder than human writing. My characters looked like they had been chewed by dogs, but Zane was very patient, always guiding my hand as he taught me. I loved writing his name in beast script the most, stroke by stroke, feeling sweet in my heart. Zane understood my tastes well. Every time he came back from a trip, he would bring me some strange and exotic beast clan delicacies. Sometimes it was glowing berries, sometimes mushrooms with peculiar textures, and even the legendary beast god's nectar. Without realizing it, my heart grew stranger and stranger. The day Zane returned, he dragged me into the room without a word. I thought he wanted me, but he mysteriously pulled out a glowing fruit from his robes. "Try this. It's a fruit from the beast god tree." I managed to secretly pick it. I was so moved that tears almost fell. The beast god fruit was a treasure of the beast clan. It was said that even the wolf king was reluctant to eat it, yet Zane had secretly brought one back for me. Taking a bite, a strange energy immediately flowed through my entire body. I felt light as a feather, as if I could fly. At that moment, I even thought that if I could stay with Zane like this forever, it wouldn't be so bad to never return to the real world. Unfortunately, I forgot that I was just a surrogate. How could I dream of growing old together with the wolf king? Not long after, news of the wolf clan's alliance marriage with the tiger clan spread throughout the beast world. The tiger clan's young lady was coming to stay in wolf territory, with all the heirs of a future queen. The wolf beauties who had always looked down on me now took the opportunity to mock me even more. "A mere human, how dare you think you could monopolize the prince's favor forever? The real deal has arrived. You little thing who hasn't even grown for yet, get lost." We lined up in 2 rows to welcome the arrival of Zane and the tiger princess, Roxanne. When they walked in hand, my heart skipped a beat. In the days that followed, Zane accompanied Roxanne on tours around the territory. They admired the moon together and hunted together. Some onlookers even used illusion magic to capture their sweet moments, deliberately showing them to me. I pretended to be calm, saying I didn't care. Suddenly one day, the wolf queen summoned us to the great hall. It turned out that Zane was busy with official duties and feared Roxanne would be lonely, so he asked us to keep her company. Roxanne walked towards me with a smile, intimately linking her arm with mine. "I heard you're close to Zane. It must be hard work taking care of him, right?" When we were alone, her expression immediately changed. She violently flung my arm away. "How dare a human like you stay by Zane's side? I heard you consider yourself his bedmate? Guess who's more important to him, you or me?" Alarm bells rang in my head, but before I could escape, I saw her rip off the protective charm hanging around her neck and throw it into the nearby miasma-filled forest. At that moment, Zane happened to walk into the courtyard. Roxanne immediately threw herself into his arms, tearfully complaining, "Zane, this human in your courtyard is so ill-mannered. I just wanted to chat with her, but she insulted me and threw the protective charm my mother gave me into the miasma forest." I hadn't seen Zane for a long time. The man I once spent day and night with now had a cold face, his gaze so unfamiliar it made me panic. He gave me a cool glance, his eyes devoid of any warmth. I didn't. I tried to explain, but was cut off. Zane lowered his head to softly comfort Roxanne in his arms. "Don't be afraid, I'll send someone to find it right away." But Roxanne pouted, pointing at me. She lost it, so she should go find it. Humans have the weakest sense of smell among the beast clans. I had no way to navigate in the miasma. Zane knew this. He used to tease me, calling me a noseless fool, but at this moment, he coldly ordered me, "Go find it." I stumbled into the miasma-filled dense forest. The acrid smell made me dizzy, and the poisonous gas burned my skin. I stumbled around, feeling my life force slowly draining away. After searching for who knows how long, I finally touched that cursed protective charm. Covered in wounds, I crawled out of the dense forest, trembling as I handed it to Roxanne. The wolf queen had arrived at some point. She glared at me, fuming with anger. "How outrageous. You're a disgrace to our wolf clan. Stay in the dense forest for a day and night to reflect on your actions." Zane didn't even look at me, leaving with his arm around Roxanne. Here, I didn't even have the right to speak. Roxanne, on the other hand, could easily control my life and death. I, who had once been intoxicated by the sweetness with Zane and attached to this wolf clan territory, thought about leaving for the first time. I couldn't hold out for long in the miasma forest before passing out. In my hazy state, I seemed to catch Zane's scent. He carefully licked my wounds with his tongue, his movements uncharacteristically gentle. Sobbing, I asked him, "Do I have a place in your heart?" But he remained silent. When I fully regained consciousness, there was no one around. I shook my head with a bitter smile, thinking I must have been hallucinating. Suddenly, a familiar set of footsteps approached. Zane entered, his face gloomy. A glimmer of joy rose in my heart. "Prince, why have you come?" He sat down by my bed, staring at me with a complex expression. "Lily, Roxanne has contracted beast soul atrophy from losing her protective charm. Her condition is critical." He paused, his gaze becoming determined. "The shaman doctor says we need human essence blood as a catalyst for the medicine. You've always been understanding. Can you help her?"